AI Mentors is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting and networking needs. Our podcast, AI Mentors, hosted by Mark Kelly, brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI Mentors cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career.
Welcome to the AI Mentors podcast. I'm your host, Mark Kelly. Our guest today is Patrice Chaperon. Patrice is the head of data product at Doctolib. Patrice, very welcome to the show today.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Patrice, tell me a little bit about your background, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, sure. So I'm Patrice Chaperon. I'm 34 years old. So I'm the head of data product here at Doctolib. Fun fact, when I was a teenager, a lot of friends of mine had a computer, but I could not afford having one. So I had, a calculator. It was a Casio 65, and it was great because you could code, using this calculator. So it was basic language, something like that. So I tried to learn code by myself. So I've started to code stupid games like tic-tac-toe or snake. But that's how I came to computer science. So I decided to get a first diploma in computer science. So learn basic coding, statistics, machine learning. So during 2 years, and then I've got a master's degree at Paris Panthéon-Sorbonne University in computer science applied to business management. It was a good program because it was a mix of data science, statistics, data mining skills. But also what I liked, it was also how you apply that to business. So also some mix of project management, communication, and marketing skills. So I've got graduated in 2010, and then I've decided to look for my first job. So I was looking for a job in data, and I found actually Criteo, which was a small startup at that time, 100 employees. So now I guess there are like 2,500 employees, something like that. So now it's really a global retargeting ads company. But when I joined, I was a data analyst, helping different teams, to get some insight from us to make their decision. So I stayed there like 9 years, having different roles, opportunity to create different teams from product to business teams with always the same mission, to use the data to help our different stakeholders to make really their decisions. So using the data. So I did that for 9 years, and then since January, I joined Doctolib as the head of the data product team. When I've joined, we were like 6 people. Today we are twice bigger, like 11, and the idea is to be 17 or 18 data analysts next year, and we are opening a team of data analysts in Berlin as well to make our team grow.
Patrice, fantastic. Tell me overview about your background there. Tell me a little bit about Doctolib for people that don't know about it and some of the problems that you look to solve.
Yes, sure. So first, just sharing a few figures with you. So Doctolib, if we look at data in October, it was 34 million of appointments booked in Doctolib. 135,000 healthcare professionals are using our solution. And if you look at the patient side, like we have 70 million of patients visiting Doctolib in France and in Germany. And interesting fact, as you may imagine, with the COVID situation, we had a kind of boost of adoption of our video consultation. So in 2019, we made like something around 100K video consultation. We were super happy, but during the COVID period, like 100K video consultation, this is what we've done in 1 day, So really a big boost of this. So to come back to Doctolib, it's super straightforward what we are trying to do. So we just want to improve the quality of life of our healthcare professional while also helping, the patient to access to healthcare. So to do so, for a practitioner, we help them to get new patients, to be visible online 24/7, like that patient they can book at any time, which is a big change. You don't have to answer to call phone. You can book appointment directly online. And we also want to make sure that we reduce what we call the no-show, which is basically the fact that a patient in the end goes to the appointment. And Doctolib today, roughly our no-show is only 4%. It's 60% lower compared to other solution or to the market, which is really a big decrease and big added value of Doctolib. We also provide the video consultation, but mainly as we provide a booking management system, we just want to provide a great service to healthcare professionals to help them reducing their administrative tasks. So that's really helping them in their day-to-day life to manage all their appointments.
Patrice, the fantastic thing about this is everyone in the world can be positively impacted about this and other applications in eHealth. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the interesting projects that happen behind the scenes?
Yes, of course. So I can mention a few of them because we have a lot of different feature teams working on different super cool projects. So the first one, I was talking about the no-show. So for us, it's super important that a patient shows up, during the appointments. So to do so, today we are sending notifications. So it can be a text message, it could be an email, it could be an app notification. In the end, the idea is just to make sure patients, that they are attending the appointment. So the idea is how we could kind of optimize all of those costs, because the more appointments we are doing, the more it costs to us. So super important for us to optimize those costs while not, degrading the experience for the patient. So it's finding kind of the right balance between optimizing those costs. Should we send more text messages, more app notification? But in the same time, we need to make sure that our healthcare professionals are still satisfied with our product. So that's one example. Another one, which is super key for us, which is like A/B test. So everyone is talking about A/B test. And at Doctolib today, we are lucky because we have our own internal tracking system. So that's why we haven't decided to move forward with a global solution like Convertise or Optimize that people may know. So we really wanted to do our own A/B test. So right now, what we are doing, and when I say we, it's a mix of product manager, data scientist, data analyst, data engineers. We are building this framework that in the end will help us making our A/B test. So to do so, we are working on two things. First is obviously define the architecture on the data side to find the best practices in terms, of randomization to make sure the randomization is well done, and also maybe to work on all the statistical script to make sure we analyze the A/B test the right way, that there is no bias, that we are making the right decision based on those tests. And to be honest, that's a great opportunity because for us, it will be a great tool to enhance our product. So let's take an example. You are a patient, you are using Doctolib, and sometimes, you could be blocked into the funnel, so which is really an issue. So maybe for some patients which are blocked, 50% of the population, maybe they could relaunch the search, maybe the other half we could provide another solution. And thanks to that, at the end of the day, we could really improve our product, launch features to make the life of our healthcare professional and patient easier, thanks to the result of those A/B tests. So really a great opportunity. And the last one, which is also a super interesting project in my opinion. So, and basically the people that will hire in Germany will have to work on that, the data team. So super interesting project. So basically today, as you may imagine, Doctolib, we are providing a booking management system, but we are also integrated in big organizations. Like we have a deal with big hospitals in France and in Germany. So as you may guess, hospitals, they have a lot of secretaries. They have different type of practices. but they also have other medical softwares on which Doctolib need to interop with. And to do so, let's take an example. You are a secretary, you make an appointment, but you need to go outside of Doctolib to get the address of the patient, copy it, and then paste it on a Doctolib software. So maybe you are wasting time. So what we are trying to do is kind of build a framework to track the time of all the different workflows that a practitioner or a secretary can make. And like that, we can measure like the loading times, the backend or front-end time spent on some scenarios. And it will allow us, thanks to this framework, to spot different things, interrupted scenarios. So maybe secretary started a workflow in Doctolib, but they never come back to Doctolib. So maybe there is an issue. And also, great way for us to implement new features. So for instance, if we realize, thanks to this framework, that we have a new pattern of usage in a workflow, in the way maybe they make appointments, they change opening. In the end, our objective is to reduce their administrative tasks. So it will be a great way to feed our product roadmap and to launch maybe some specific product for specific users. So that's basically some projects we're working on right now.
Patrice, we could actually have separate podcasts on each of these, which are fantastic to share. Could you tell me a little bit about the difference in the organization structure between data analyst and also data scientist?
Yes, sure. So just some figures. So the data team today at Doctolib, if we include data scientists, data analysts, data engineers, BI analysts, it's almost 50 people, and we'll keep growing. So today we are like 30 data analysts and 5 data scientists, ready to make this team grow, obviously. So how we are working today, a good thing to keep in mind is like both data analysts, data scientists, they are fully embedded in the feature teams. So meaning that there is one product manager with his dev team, plus either data scientist, data analyst. So that's great because like that we can all contribute together to the roadmap to help PM prioritizing the roadmap. We are part of all rituals. So that's really a great way of working. So data scientists and data analysts, they really have to team up, together on a lot of different topics. And what are basically the main difference? So if I should sum up super quickly. So data science here at Doctolib, they will work on more long-term projects, like the A/B test framework I've just mentioned. It will be really led by a seasoned data scientist to make sure that we are building the best framework, that we have the right tool to prepare A/B test, to analyze the A/B test, to make a smart randomization. So all of that, it will be handled by a data scientist because that's really long-term project on which we need to have strong data science skills. Whereas for data analysts, it will be more mid-term project or short-term, for which they will have to work for their product manager, answering some, mid-term projects. And what they will do, they will actually make some analysis leveraging data science skills. What do I mean by leveraging? It means that they should have data science skills to make their analysis, even deeper and smarter. So we will kind of integrate Python script to, automate some tasks, or maybe to make sure we are stronger in the way we analyze the data. So that's really something we want to do, is to make sure each data analyst have a strong data analysis skills. And for that, data science will really support our data analyst team to work together to achieve this objective. So in terms of skills, the data analyst today at Doctolib, we're looking for people with strong analytical, statistical, problem-solving skills. Obviously, super important. They should be proactive, have a high level of autonomy in terms of skills. So technical skills, obviously, SQL, Python, also using a BI tool such as Tableau, Sense is a plus, but we're also looking for people, I guess that's also maybe a difference between data analysts and data scientists, who have strong soft skills. So our data analysts, they should be able to communicate properly all their output, their insights, so putting all the insight together, maybe into some slide. Super important the way they communicate and they manage their project. So it's a good mix of technical skills and soft skills for our data analysts.
Thank you for that comprehensive overview, because it's funny, depending on who you talk to, you're going to get a completely different answer to that,
yes.
to that as well, which again could be a completely different podcast episode. I had the opportunity to catch up with Elif Ayaz, technical and product recruiter at Doctolib, and she kindly gave me an overview about what it's like to work in Doctolib and the values of the company.
My name is Elif, and I'm a tech and product recruiter at Doctolib. I've been recruiting engineers, product managers, and designers, and lastly now data analysts to our team for more than a year now. And as you discussed with Patrice, and he mentioned as well, at Doctolib, our first mission is to improve life of healthcare professionals and the patients. And our mission number 2 is actually very much connected to that, is building a company of entrepreneurs with strong human values. We know we cannot reach our mission number 1 without being a people-driven company. In connection to that, we have, of course, created pillars which shapes our company culture and working environment. First prominent one is that we are very user-driven, starting from the HR team to developers to analysts or a field sales teams that are working closely with practitioners day to day. We all have a mindset that we want to serve our users as a number 1 priority. So this, of course, then connects us to the same goal, and it affects how we communicate, how we understand and collaborate with each other as we try to reach the same goal all together. And this is also basically helps us structure our work both individually but also collectively as a company-wide, as we are always working towards being the best version of ourselves, both as a product but also as individuals, by learning 3 new things a day, or fostering a solution-driven approach to challenges that we face in our field, in our context as a company and product. Also, we have very action-driven way of working that is truly agile and ready to adapt the changes of our industry and current context and be bold. Of course, all of this cannot happen without us caring about each other and enjoying what we are doing with a high level of energy. Of course, it has been challenging to maintain that, let's say, this year, but we created a lot of initiatives to help us, also our employees, balance our current conditions and by providing opportunities to learn new skill set that can help us cope as well as protect our mental health, work-life balance as individuals, as parents, or as caregivers in some conditions. And lastly, but not least, of course, is diversity and inclusion is in a place with more than 30 nationalities at Doctolib at the moment. But we try to not make this just by existing, but by also being included to the decision-making and helping them grow into key roles. And of course, having initiatives and work on extend this to beyond this scope. And to summarize, I would say at Doctolib, we try to build a company and a working environment that is very much connected with our values and missions.
Thank you, Elif Ayaz. That was technical product recruiter at Doctolib, for that overview and a bit more about the culture and the way of work there. 2 final questions for you. Why do you think most data science projects fail, Patrice? And then if I dovetail near the end, where do you see the future of eHealth?
So on the first question, so why data science project fail, or why even some deep dive analysis, are not going into production. So that's a good question. So I've recently read an article telling that something like 87% of data science project never make it into production, which is huge. And to me, this is due to main 3 reasons of failure. The first one, which is to me super key, just maybe we were asking the wrong question. So super important for me to align on the objectives. What is the question we want to answer? And also which KPI we want to measure, we want to track, we want to optimize. And I guess the selection of the KPI we want to maximize and optimize on thanks to this project, to this feature is super key, just to make sure we are aligned on the objective. Is there any bias on the KPI? Do we really understand what the stakeholder want to do with this project? What is the end goal? So super important to really align on the objective. So as a conclusion, I would say that we should really take time on clarifying the need with the stakeholder. Second reason, to me, is linked to the data itself. So we need to make sure the data we're using for our models, for our analysis, is 100% accurate. So if we're using a third party, do we trust it? Is there any sample? Do we need to make some rough estimate of the data? So all of that, we need to make sure that we fully understand the data, and we need to do some sanity check and to double check that the figures are accurate, as well as making sure the data we'll provide as an output are reflecting the reality. Because if in the end, the output, they are not reflecting the real trend, we have an issue somewhere. So that's the second point, the data, just make sure we're using and we take time to clean the data that we'll put into our models. And the third part, to me, is the lack of synchronization and collaboration. So data scientists, data analysts, we need to make sure that they don't work alone on the solution. Because, all data science projects and deep dive analysis, they are all super exciting. And you are like, okay, yes, I have this idea. I will go working on that. But in the end, if you don't exchange a lot with your product manager or with any stakeholders, you are not aligned. So it's super important to think regularly, to have clear milestones, to make sure that in the end, we'll end up provide a good solution for our product manager. So that's my answer about data science project who fails. And you had another question about the future of eHealth.
Yes, if you could.
Yes.
I've got a million different follow-up questions on what you've said there, but it's very wise. You sound like a man that's had the scars to prove where things have gone wrong. So I take on your thoughts really, really strong. Tell us a little bit about the future of eHealth.
Yes, sure. So eHealth, to me, definitely a bright future. So we have a lot of different opportunities on eHealth. So I have a few examples that come to my mind. First one is like how we could maybe, anticipate the new pandemics, like a new COVID a situation, or simply a flu. But on this, I don't know if you know, but Google, I guess they launched Google Flu like 3 years back, and I guess they failed. So we should be humble and careful about how we can anticipate and forecast a flu, because that's super tricky, but I guess there is something to do there. Second topic I see is how we could integrate more machine learning to analyze maybe X-ray images of, let's say, cancer tumors, to make sure maybe we can identify some patterns and how we could better cure those cancers, by analyzing those X-ray images. That's an example. And another one I see, it's kind of funny because I was watching TV last week, and there was a French student called Guillaume Rosier, and he's studying data science right now. And actually, the guy created a website called COVID Tracker. So it's a website allowing everyone, to follow the COVID situation. And what he did, and it's funny because it's kind of the only one to do that, he basically took the data, the public official data that we have. He's computing the data, making some stats using his algorithm, and then he's feeding his website with different charts and tools. And in the end, who is using that is the government, the doctors. So doctors are using it today to predict activity in their hospital, to anticipate the staffing, the working condition. So great tool for them. They can anticipate the situation in the hospital. You have also some funny tool. You have one tool on which you can estimate the probability of getting COVID during a dinner. So you put where you live, the number of participants to your dinner. And I can tell you that right now in Paris, a dinner with 6 people, it's 5% of chance to get the COVID. So that's kind of tool that he's doing. And I guess there is really a lot of things to do here, because right now it's the student who developed that and government and hospital using it. But I guess some companies could do more here. And the last but not least, it will be my conclusion. We should not lose, our focus on eHealth. I guess the objective is really 2 things: to make access to healthcare easier for everyone. That's one objective on which we should apply eHealth. And the second one is we need to help all the healthcare professionals. So the website was an idea, but this is what we try to do at Doctolib, trying to be the best-in-class product for healthcare professionals to help them in their day-to-day life. So it could be, taking booking, but it could be providing video consultation. It could be providing any tool that will help us in their day-to-day life.
Patrice Chaperon, Head of Data Product at Doctolib. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Mark.
Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week, we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.